This is not, yeah. Like that. Very good. So I think that you're back on track. Yes. It's very lovely to see so many are still here. That's very nice. So we will dive into our next topic. And the next topic is the nature of man and the cause of disease. And can everybody hear me clearly? It's good enough? Okay, very good. Yeah. Yes? I have tried, but the thing is, it keeps popping up. So that's why I asked. Yeah. Yeah, the problematic is that this speaker got hair on her head. And and unfortunately, the thing here, like, my hair keeps tilting the thing. Yeah. So, can you hear me still? Even though it's very good. Very, very good. Okay, so the nature of man and the cause of disease. And we'll do a bit of repetition from last time. So those who weren't here at the beginning of the last meeting, that won't be a problem for you guys, because we're going to go a little bit through it again. Yeah? Very good. So, why is the cause of the disease not known? And we looked at that in our last meeting. And we came to see that we have no measurement to orientate ourselves after. That's our first problem. If you have a building plan, but you have no measurement, how far are you going to get? Not very far, no. And then we also have the problem we don't know ourselves. You see, every time we lose self-control, it is because we don't know how to control ourselves. Yeah? So, these are the two things we need to understand in order to regain health. Yeah? We also saw that we have two types of information. We have an information that is self-evident, and these are the objects around us, the structure of the objects around us, and the function. These things give us the measurement whereby we can measure the things that need interpretation. And the things that need interpretation, that is the opinions of the people around us, literature and studies, and religious books. Then we saw the law that we have in the universe, the basic law, which teaches that nothing can exist or function by itself, and nothing can do anything for itself. This also means that all things function as a channel. Everything must take energy from outside in order to do something with that energy and give a product. Everything needs to take in order to give. This also means there must be an entrance and an exit. There must be a cause in order to get an effect. Yeah? By this, we can also know that everything works in a circuit. Because if everything just takes in order to give, it's just passed on, and it must work in a circuit. All problems in this world comes from this law being broken. There's not a single problem we have in this world that is not because of the breaking of this law. So what are we missing? An understanding of the human being. If you don't know the needs of the fish, remember the illustration of the fish from last meeting? Yeah? You can't help it. You need to know what to put into the channel. So here we have the human being, and the things we need to understand is structure, how we are built, function, how we work, and our basic needs, what we need to live. We need to understand what to put into the channel, where and how to put it in, and which buttons to push to get the things going. Yeah? So what are the needs of the human being? And we looked to it the last meeting. We have a need of sunshine, water, food, air. And we also concluded very fast last time. I think somebody has seen this before, maybe. I don't know. But we have a need of love. And we ended with asking the question, what is love? And what impact does it have on the human being? So love. What is love? I have drawn together some concepts that I believe is a part of love, and we will look at them and we will see if we can recognize that these are the things that we need. Truth. Is that something you think you need? How do we react when people lie to us? Do you like it when people lie to you? Yeah? Can it give you trouble? Yeah? Security. Do you need security? What happens when there's no more money on the bank account? Huh? What? Yeah. But do you get stressed when you see? Yeah? Yes, I'll try to remember that. Thank you, Deborah. Harmony. Do you need harmony? All the time. You don't like it when your husband is in that special mood? Huh? Yeah? Or the wife? It's not so nice to be around, is it? Freedom? Anybody in here would like to just sit in a jail cell for the rest of their lives? No? Understanding. Justice. Do we need justice? Yeah. Respect? The men answered definitely. Yeah. We like respect. Responsibility. Do you like to be treated like slaves? No? Happiness? Peace? Orientation? Do we search out orientation? Do we look to others sometimes to get that? Yeah? Recognition? Acceptance? Loyalty? How much do we need those things? I tell you a story. I've known about a couple where the husband sent a letter to his wife. And the letter that he sent to his wife is not one of those letters that you like to receive. It was a suicide letter. Yeah? And in this letter, the husband explained to his wife she was at fault for him killing himself. Because this man found out that his wife was cheating on him. People kill themselves when they believe that they are in lack of loyalty. Is that not interesting? The more interesting part is this. This man was a serial cheater. Interesting? Yes. Yes, he was. You see, sometimes we deal easier with our own mistakes than with those of others. Curiosity and knowledge. Are you curious? Very? Yeah? Especially the women. Huh? Animals, do they have some of these needs too? Yeah? Have you seen what happens to an animal that does not have those things fulfilled? I have had a parrot. If you leave a parrot in a cage for a longer amount of time without supervision, it will start to self-injure, start plucking off its feathers. That's very interesting. Is there any chemical formula for any of these things? Is there matter in love? Can you write me a chemical formula? No atoms? No? There are none. You can't write me the formula of love. You can't write me the formula of righteousness. Because it is just concepts that we think about. It is nothing but thoughts. And still, we get in very much trouble if we do not think that our needs are fulfilled. When you have a need, you always have a receiving organ where you can fill the need into. So when we look to our physical needs, we look to oxygen and air. And where do they go in? Lungs. Water. Where does it go in? Stomach, digestive tract. Yeah. Food. The same. Sunshine. Skin and eyes, right? And then we have love. Where does love come in? The big toe. No, that's a very good. It was very. I think it was a joke. I hope it was a joke. So, where would you think, at least? Where would you? The heart. The brain. Yeah. What is the brain? What is the brain made of? What is it made of? Matter. It is made of matter. Do you have a hole in your head so you can fill in a little bit of love into that? And how much does matter need love? No. It doesn't really. So, we are lacking an organ. Where do thoughts come from? Are they chemically produced? Can chemistry make something that is non-chemical? No, no, no. People that take drugs, they make emotions, feelings. And that is not spiritual. You can go in and you can correct feelings somewhat with chemistry. But a feeling and an emotion is only a chemical reaction. And that chemical reaction comes from someplace. Yeah? So, what is the origin of thoughts? Where would you look? We would at least look into the head area, right? That makes sense. Yeah? But what are thoughts and how are they made? And what role do they play in health? In science, it is believed that thoughts are the result of your neurons burning glucose. That's interesting, right? Burn a bit of sugar and you'll love better. You just need to eat more. Then you become a more loving person. Did you know that? That's not true. At least we can conclude that's not true, right? Yeah? So now we are doing a little bit of thinking. It's very good. We go through these things, yeah? Science has given the brain the capacity to think. But let's investigate it just a tiny bit, yeah? So, in order to conclude whether the brain can think or not, we have to know and understand the limits of chemistry. Does that make sense? Yeah? We have to exclude some things in order to be able to reason about where can things then come from, right? Yeah? So chemical reactions are set. What do we mean by that? It means that when you have two chemical components, if you put them together, you will always get the same reaction. It doesn't turn out in another way another day because it's just set. That is a limit of chemistry. Yeah? It's very predictable. And chemistry can never act. And it can never choose not to react. So now we take a little example of this. Here we have a lady, and she's doing something. What is she doing? She's watering the plant, right? Why does this lady water the plant? Yes, she knows if she doesn't, it's going to plant or going to die. And another lady said, what was more said? I think it was from this area over here. No? That's a very nice conclusion. The plant can't walk to the water. If the plant could walk to the water, she wouldn't need to water it. If the lady was to water this plant with diesel, could the plant choose not to take it in? Could it refuse and say, today I don't want to drink anything? No? Yeah. You see, chemistry can never choose not to react. Everything that is chemical must be destroyed from the outside. Chemistry can never destroy itself. You got a new car. You're very happy about your new car. We all are when we get one of those. But one morning you come out and this is how your windshield looks. So, would you take the windshield out, put it under the microscope to see how it broke itself? No? You would probably ask the neighbor where his kids were last night, right? Yeah, that's more likely. We have a tree here, and we have a man committing murder. And the tree is not yelling and screaming bloody murderer and running away. Why not? Chemistry has no ability to move itself. And I think I lost the sound. Just wait a second. Is it back? It's very good. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Chemistry has no ability to move. It can react, but never act. If I drop this, or if I let go of this, it will fall to the ground. But it can never say, oh, I don't want to lay here and walk around. Yeah? And then I wrote, this is why we can preserve food and all things. Because chemistry can't destroy itself. So if, for example, have an apple, you can spray it with a little chemistry, make sure the bacteria can't get to it, and then you can send it to Denmark. Yeah? Denmark. Yeah? You wouldn't send the apples to Denmark because we have plenty of those, but mangoes or whatever, you know, nice. Passion fruit, the passion fruit, yeah, yeah. And all things, you can put them into an environment, you know, airtight environment and stuff like that. Make the environment so that the things that normally destroy the things can't get to it, and then you can preserve it for a very long time, yes? Yeah. So, our structure and function. We are people that have many organs, but we are one organism. We are a whole being. And what governs it all? Where is the starting point? If you have a car and you put fuel on the car, will the car automatically move? No. Why not? It has to be turned on. Yeah? Somebody mentioned something about a Tesla down there. Want to tell me about it? That is completely true. And we also had this in one of our other lectures, so I'll just go through that. Because we don't take into consideration that still there has to be somebody who programmed the car. So the car never drives on its own. It can be programmed to do it. It can either have a person sitting directly behind the wheel, or it can have somebody who put a program into it and pushes a button, and then it can drive also. Yeah? But it never does it on its own. Never. This artificial intelligence stuff can sometimes get us a bit confused. Yeah? And I've written here, no, it must be started by someone. Yeah? Because in general, we have a rule that everything that has function needs two components. You need something to generate function, to start the thing, and then you also need something to sustain function. Yes? So in a car, what do we have to sustain the function? Fuel. And what do we have to generate function? The spark. Yes. If chemical reactions would happen without something to start them, everything would be a mess. You wouldn't be able to control your arms. Just fly anywhere. Right? Yeah? But you have something that needs to start it so that you can make movement and you can point it in a specific direction. Yeah? How do we find the thing that generates function? How do we find the thing that generates function? It's a bit of a hard one. But you look to what is missing when a person is no longer alive, but still fully intact. When is a person declared dead? Yes, they would be declared dead after they die. That is true. But how do you know for a fact that they're just not just passed out? What? You can still be alive while you're not breathing because you can just be on a ventilator. When do you choose to take people off the ventilator? It's not after it's not the pulse you measure. It's not after 3 days. You measure the electrical current in the brain. Yeah? When there's no electricity, we turn out the switch because we know there's nothing anymore. There's no chance of movement anymore. Yeah? So here we have our structure and function. Some of it, at least. We have the brain cortex here. And it is pictures like this because we have two brains, or, you know, the two brain halves are separated. Yeah? So you have the right and the left cortex. And those go down into the middle of the brain where the chemistry is produced. This is called the limbic system. And the limbic system connects to the nerves that goes to the rest of the body, and they cross. And this is important to know for one reason. You have something that is called one-sided symptoms. And we have to have a little bit of understanding of anatomy in order to understand what happens where. We don't have the cranial nerves pictured here. But the rule is, in general, this is just very general speaking, that the left side of your brain also controls the left side of your face. But then it goes down and crosses, so it also controls the right side of your body. And I think I was, yeah?
Why do you think that is? I mean, why was it created that way? Why couldn't it just continue down the same side? Why does it cross over?
Well, that is a very, very good question. My immediate answer would be probably to make us think a little bit. Yeah? Yeah. So, when you have a problem on the right side of your body, where do you need to look? Left side of your brain. Yeah? That's very good. Then we have the electrical impulse. And when a person is declared dead, that is when you can no longer measure the impulse. It's no longer there. Without electricity, there is no movement. Yes? So, what creates the what creates the electricity in the brain? Does the brain create its own electricity? Is that possible? No. So with the attributes of chemistry in mind, let's consider what it would look like if the electrical current were chemically produced. If you were governed by chemistry, you would always eat right. Why do we say that? The body would only take what it needed because chemical reactions are set. You would go to bed at the right time. Right? Why? That's what you need. But also, if the body could satisfy its own needs, it would just lay down and sleep whenever. Right? You would never change behavior. Chemical reactions are set. And you would not be able to kill yourself. That wouldn't be possible. If you're only chemistry, you can't kill yourself. There would be no responsibility. When people would drag you to the court, you could just say, my brain made me do it. Can you blame anybody for just being born in a certain way? It's just a chemical reaction that made me do it. There would be no responsibility. You would have no need of love. A cell does not need you to pet it on the hair and tell it, you're so great. It just needs raw material, nothing else. And of course, we would not be able to learn anything. You can't teach something to chemistry. You can't reason with chemistry. If you have a need that is non-chemical, the receiving organ must also be so. A spiritual need requires a spirit. So here we have the spirit of man. And we have one more evidence for that. Here we have a car. And some of you might have this on the display, right? What does that tell you? What? I didn't get that. Can you say that one more time? It's got E for enough, if you like. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. We can conclude this is because, the car needs somebody to fill it up, right? That's why we have it on the display, right? Someone needs to decide to fill gas on the car. Why do we have hunger and thirst? Yeah. Somebody needs to take a decision, right? Can we ignore the signals? For how long can we ignore the signals? Until we die. Have you seen people with anorexia? So how is our structure and function in reality? The brain cortex, we have the limbic system, the nerves that goes into the body, and then we have the spirit. And the spirit and the brain cortex makes up what we call the soul. The thoughts that the spirit generates, which is the processing of the information that comes to us. The thoughts creates the electrical impulse that supplies the rest of the body with electricity. This is how you decide to move. Yeah? Does it matter what kind of electrical signal comes through? Does it matter what kind of thoughts come through? Yeah. So, here we have a little scripture about this. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. So here we have the dust of the earth, and this becomes a very complex body. And then we have the breath of life, which becomes a complex spirit. And together, and only together, they make a living soul. This is like a piano and a player. In this analogy, we have the piano. This is the body. We have the player. This is the spirit. And we have the music, which is the soul. How do you know if the player can play rightly? if he knows how to play the piano. How do you know it? By the music that comes out. So, when disease appears, what does it tell us? We don't know how to play our piano. It's important that we understand that it's the soul, and the soul is not an entity in itself that works in itself. We are composed of two entities that make up a third, just like water. Hydrogen never becomes oxygen, and the other way around doesn't function either. But together they make water. Yeah? And when they're separated, how much water do we have? None. Very important to understand. Separated, no water. So how is our need of love fulfilled? Here we have a little letter. It's the reference to the man I told you about. How do we think our need is fulfilled? We have the road here. And in order to be healthy, we need to know how to stay inside the borders when it comes to love. Right? Like everything else, the need needs to be fulfilled. If you don't know how the need is fulfilled, you let up out in the trees. And this was what happened to this man I was talking to you about. Yeah? How do we think our need is fulfilled? What made him kill himself? Yeah. He thought his wife did not love him. Yeah. Why do we have relationships? I have some of my relationships here on screen. And the question is, do I have relationships because I am such a loving person? And I just want to give. Huh? This is my friend Diana. This is my mother. This is my father. And this is my sister. Am I in the relationship because I want to love them? Or because I think I need them to love me? How do we know the motivation? When is motivation shown? In the crisis. When you don't get what you want. Yeah? I have many people come to me and say, no. I also am in the relationship to give to that person. Really? What happens when they don't give you what you want? You keep giving? Is that what we do? For a certain period of time, until they cause us enough loss. Right? Yeah? What happens when people die or do not give us what we expect? Exactly. When our family members die, do we cry for all the things they missed out on in the world? Is it them we are feeling sorry for? If you felt sorry for them only, I tell you, you wouldn't get sick. If you were thinking of the loss of God only, poor God, he lost a servant, you wouldn't get sick. Does the law permit that you give the same place as you take? Does the tree give anything to the sun? No? Somebody says down here something. It's give and take. Yeah? Does it give anything to the sun? Does the tree give anything to the sun? Does the tree give anything to the sun? No? You see, we can all see that we have a need of love. But when is a need a need? Only when you cannot produce it. But still, even though you can see you have a need of love, we do not reason to think, well, if the other person is the same species as I and have the same needs as me, will they ever be able to fulfill my need? Can the tree go to the other tree and ask for a bit of sunshine? Is it reasonable? No. Everything must take in order to give. But the taking and the giving can never be at the same place. So, here is the sad reality of how we function. We are not in relationships to give. But we are in relationships in order to receive. And when we do not receive according to our expectation, we cut people off. Because, you see, when we go to people, we don't go as free agents just to give. We go because we make an investment. Yeah? We invest in people. And when the cash does not come out in the other end, how do we react? And the thing that comes out of us shows that we are trying to take in the wrong place. Yeah, we are bankrupt. That is completely right. So how are our needs fulfilled? We have the needs, we have the receiving organ, we have the source, and we have the responsibility. And the need of oxygen goes into the lungs. And the source, where is the source of the oxygen? In nature. And responsibility, I'm sorry I pushed it too quickly, but I hope that everybody understands in here, nobody else can breathe for me. Right? It's my responsibility to breathe? Yes. Water, digestive tract, source. Where's the source? Nature. Responsibility. Mine. Food. Where do we get it? Responsibility. You don't ask your spouse to eat for you? Nobody does it here? Would it be reasonable? It's our responsibility. Sunshine, nature, my responsibility to go outside, and then love. We have found out it's the spirit that needs love, right? So the source of love. I've put a question mark, but somebody in here answered God. That's very good. So the responsibility, whose responsibility is it? That my need is fulfilled. Mine. Yeah. But do we really understand it? We wouldn't be sick if we did. So, is your need of love fulfilled by God loving you?
When I got married, and the source of love was my spouse.
Yes. Every single person.
Honest, that's really what's going on.
That is exactly true. But I tell you, every single person who marries for themselves. If that would be true, I ask you this question. Is it because God is not doing his job that we are so unloving? So God is not really doing his job. If it was by God's action that our need would be fulfilled, we would never have responsibility and we would never have a problem because he always does what he's supposed to do. This is also where we end the lecture, but you...
God puts the off on the table, he puts love on the table, he puts the forgiveness on the table. It's there. It's up to us to take hold.
It is completely right. It is up for us to take something, yeah? And how it exactly functions, my sister will go more into in detail in the next seminar. But, yeah. Thank you.